The US Justice Department has dropped the charges against Aaron Swartz. The hacktivist attorney has commented on that, stating that the dismissal was too little, too late. Well, staying with the story, I'm now joined by journalist and author Kevin Gostola. Well, his lawyer also said that the dismissal would have been welcomed the same time last week. Well, many would say this is a cynical gesture by the prosecution, wouldn't they? Would you agree with that?
Yes, although it is a formality to, after the person has died or, you know, in this circumstance, to actually announce that there's no longer a prosecution, because I suppose you could maybe bring a family member into court to attest to the charges, especially if it was like a fine or something. You could maybe make them pay for the damages.
Well, he hacked into a protected database full of protected work, and what he did was deemed to be illegal. He stole the files. So why were people so surprised at his possible sentence?
Well, the reason is because MIT, the institute in the United States where he was alleged to have engaged in this act, did not have any of these protections that would have prevented him from being able to do what he did. And in fact, it's not really a hack. Actually, what he did was take advantage of a loophole, as this one expert witness, Alex Stamos, was going to say during trial. And he put up something over the weekend describing how it was, in fact, really easy for him to do what he did.
And in a recent article, you have written that there are similarities between what's happened here with Aaron Swartz and also the treatment of the alleged WikiLeaks informer Bradley Manning by the US government. What are they? Well,
they're both similar. Both of these individuals believe that information should be made available, that knowledge is power. And, you know, in chats that people have widely talked about, Bradley Manning talks about how this should be out there for people to have worldwide discussions. Now, in this case, Swartz is somebody who had this inclination that information is power, and that you shouldn't be able to treat it just as a commodity, that copyright hawks shouldn't just be able to keep this information guarded. If it's available to the world, then everyone could be a lot smarter.
So do you believe there is a situation where material, though, should be restricted or protected, or do you think that all this sort of material, whatever it is, should be available to everyone because it is on the internet?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on a case-by-case basis, but in both of these instances, there is quite an argument to be made that the information that both of these individuals wanted to share more widely should not have necessarily remained concealed.
Do you think the death of this young man will change the way that people are pursued by authorities in the future?
I do not think so. I mean, certainly, you know, governments do this with activists everywhere, and particularly in the United States, we've seen a focus on internet activists as of late, and that's not necessarily unique to the United States. But what is remarkable is that there are criminals in the United States that could be prosecuted, like bankers. There are people who have engaged in real crimes like torture, but it seems like the Justice Department in the United States has more interest in going after people like Swartz.
Just briefly, I want to ask you the reaction to this. The official MIT website was hacked and defaced by Anonymous very recently. That's the activist group linked to WikiLeaks. Do you support those sort of tactics?
I mean, I don't know if I definitely want to say that I support or do not support, but I will say that I recognize why they are doing this. I mean, they believe that the government was wrong to go after Swartz in the way that the government did, and so that is why MIT is facing this sort of action.
Kevin Gostola, journalist and author, thank you very much indeed for joining us live from Washington, D.C.